Hello students. So today we shall discuss uh, module 5, that is brittle coating. Module 5 is the brittle coating experimental stress analysis class 1. So today we are going to deal with the brittle coating. So why the brittle coating is needed, so that we shall discuss the introduction. Definition: brittle coating test is one of the most straightforward and effective method of experimental stress analysis used to improve product design. So it locates critical stresses areas and visually presents plain principal strain directions as well as information on the strain gradients, all of which are needed for the proper selection location of strain gauges for appropriate measurement of peak stresses. So what this definition says, that brittle coating. So why we require brittle coating? So as we have studied in the earlier topics about the strain gauge. So why the strain gauge is used? To identify the stresses and strains, to identify the strains in a particular component. Is it possible to analyze a critical component in the industries if you have a big components? So in those components, placing the strain gauges is not so as easy as we have done for the small things. Example for the strain gauge is we have done in the triple M lab. A strain gauge, a cantilever beam you have, where the strain is attached. When you apply a load, the strain is going to vary. The strain, because of the strain, you will get the digital reading what is the load is applied. That is a very small component. When we want to analyze a critical component in the industries where you have a huge structures, the using the strain gauge is not so preferable, or it's very difficult. So in that cases, what we do, we go for the coating. So what is this coating? By coating on a specific member and applying a load, the coating gets cracks. So how, what all the things we have to make assumptions, what type of material coating should be done, and what are the different parameters which affects the coating, that in detail we are going to discuss. Okay, so here the coating analysis, brittle coating analysis provides a simple and direct approach for solving a large class of industrial design problems. That's what I said, it's a large scale. So we have done a strain gauge for the small things, but for the large scales we had which are used for the industrial designs, there we are going to solve this, use this brittle coating. The method is based on perfect adhesion of coating with the brittle characteristics to the component being studied. So what do you mean by adhesion is, if I want to analyze the component stresses, the I need to make a coating. If I, the coating should be in such a way that when the coating is done on the particular surface or sprayed or applied on a particular surface, the coating and the specimen surface should be like a one single member. So that is what meaning, like perfect adhesion means the coating of the brittle should be very good adhesion with the specimen. The specimen is next is the specimen is loaded in a stages, and after every increment of the load, the crack that have formed on the surface is carefully noted. This set of cracks grow as pressure is increased. This in detail I am going to discuss here. So means what, after the coating is done, the load is applied on the particular surface. So as we increase the load, what happens, there is a possibility of the crack failure, cracks try to propagate. As we increase the loads, what happens, there is a chances of increasing the cracks at different levels, or the same crack can propagate in different fashion. So how it is propagating, so that we are going to discuss in detail. So at a appropriate pressure, second set of cracks are formed. What do you mean by first set of cracks and second set of cracks are, so the here the loads are measured, means every increment of load, for example for 1 kg of load, example I am giving, for 1 unit of load, what are the cracks propagated, for 2 units of load, for 3 units of load, for 4 units of load. As if I increase the units of loads, what is the crack propagation is taking place, at the same time at what different positions or different locations the surface cracks is going to happen. So here I am going to discuss with an example. Here the area spread with loading pressure vessel. Now I am considering the pressure vessel. So here my pressure vessel is white. So here the green color whatever I have drawn here, the green color what I have shown here, this green color is a coating, brittle coating. Means what? On a pressure vessel I have coated a brittle material, or coated, either it is sprayed or something like that. The coating is done with thin thickness, very thin thickness. So how the coating is done and at what time it is set for adhesion process, means at what time you require to adhesion with the specimen, that we shall discuss later. For time being, what is exactly the brittle coating and what we are trying to find from this brittle coating, now we are going to discuss. So consider pressure vessel, here white color whatever I have, and the green whatever I have, that I have coated. So the specimen is loaded in stage by stages, and after every increment of load, the crack that have formed on the surface is carefully noted. So now the pressure vessel is made up of a steel here. So steel. So now let me increase the pressure inside the pressure vessel. So when I increase the pressure inside the pressure vessel, you can observe here. So P1, P2, P3 are the incremental loads. Now means what? P1, at one P1 load, what is going to happen? At P1 load, you can observe the center circle here. Can you see the center circle here? Now cracks are formed. Can you see here? Horizontal cracks are formed. These horizontal cracks are formed. So here, increasing the load is not continuously I increase the load. Means what? I will increase the load and I will try to wait for some time, and I need to note these cracks. After noting this crack, then I will go for P2. I have to load P1, P2, P3, P4. First I will apply a pressure of P1. So now what happens if I apply a pressure of P1? I will wait till P2. It is not continuously I am increasing P1, P2, P3. So I will wait. So I will apply a pressure of P1 and I will wait, and I am going to note down what type of cracks here is obtained. Can you observe here? Here I have a horizontal cracks. Can you see here? Here I have a horizontal cracks. These horizontal cracks are called isostatics, and also now I am going to join. Now also I am going to join this cracks, end cracks, and I got the circle. Can you see here? I got the inner circle. Can you observe the inner circle here? This inner circle I have formed by joining the first set of cracks. Means this second circle, third circle and fourth circle, it was not there. Only first circle I am considering. First circle was obtained for the P1. So what happened? Now I am trying to join the crack ends. Now I got one circle. That circle is called as, that circle or loci of the points where I have connected, that is called as isoentatics. Means the curve which joins all the cracks is called isoentatics, but the cracks which are there horizontally and vertically, this inside this we call it as isostatic cracks. Okay, quickly I mark the cracks, and try to increase the load. So if I want to mark it quickly and then I want to increase the load. What happens if I won't? If I take it too long to note the values, the coating what I have given, it has a minimum time. Within that time, I need to make the load values and crack values, because it becomes creeps may be formed or flags may be formed, so that after some time what happens, that the chances of the brittle coating may come out from the specimen. So before that itself I should be very quick. After the pressure P1 is applied, I need to identify the crack. So that is what cracks, isostatic cracks, and then joining all the crack ends, that is what we call it as a isoentatics. So this is how I need to make. So coating is made. So same thing, when I increase the pressure P2, what happens? I got second set of circle. So I got second circle. When I increase P3, I got third circle. P4, fourth circle. As I try to increase the load, what happens? There is a set of cracks, isostatic cracks, and also if I join these isostatic cracks and cracks step by step, what all the cracks I have, I am going to get a isoentatic. These isoentatics are very important. Okay, so next, so this is how we need to find the brittle coating. So this is how we need to note, or we need to take the values of this thing. So here, why we need to find why we need to make this coating. So this coating is mainly done to find the principal stress directions. What are the principal stress directions? Here in this case, when you apply a load on a specimen, the cracks start on the specimen and it is passed through the coating and the cracks are formed. Here the principal stresses are always perpendicular to the cracks. So when I apply a pressure P1, cracks are obtained. These cracks are very important. These cracks are perpendicular to the principal stresses. So now, in case if I use strain gauges, what happens? I need to place the strain gauges in the principal directions. So when I have a complicated structure, I can easily identify the principal directions by using brittle coating, so that I can place the strain gauges. So here, combining the combination of brittle coating and with strain gauges gives you the very best results and gives you the very accurate results. Okay, so this helps us to find the principal stress directions. So what if you want to find even the principal magnitude of the principal directions, the values of the principal directions? The values of the principal directions can be found by knowing the isoentatics. Means what? The curve boundary, the circles, can you see here? P1 circle, P2 circle, P3 circle, P1, P4 circle. These circles are called isoentatics. By knowing this isoentatics, I can know the magnitude of the principal stresses. Okay, so this is one practical example: brittle coating pattern on the loaded surface of a hollow box subjected to concentrated load. Here you can observe, this is the practical one. You can observe here, this is the load is applied here. Can you see the cracks here? Can you see the cracks? Horizontal cracks and vertical cracks, and is trying to put to the circles. Can you see here? It is not a circle. He is trying to join the cracks at every incremental load. Here, whatever the number he has given, the numbers are given at every incremental load. What is happening? So here these cracks. Can you see here? The inclined cracks and horizontal cracks. Sorry. The inclined cracks and horizontal cracks. So here the inclined cracks, horizontal cracks, these are called isostatics, and the curves what he has specified means joining at every increment, the crank boundaries are joined. Am I right? So this he is trying to put a lines and is trying to join the loci of the points of all the cracks. This is called isoentatics. By knowing this cracks, the crack is always perpendicular to the principal stress direction. So by knowing this cracks, I can identify the principal stress direction. By knowing this loci of the crack boundaries, that is what isoentatics, I can find the magnitude of the principal stresses. Okay, fine. This is a practical example, practical image of a hollowed box with a concentrated load. Okay, this is what a brittle coating. So now the behavior of brittle coating is quite complicated, as it depends upon the number of parameters influencing the behavior of the coating, such as crack thickness. So here the brittle coating behavior, so it depends upon few things, few parameters. Also, what are the parameters? That is listed out here. One is coating thickness, one is coating temperature, creep in coating during testing. So what you mean by this is, if coating is done, it has certain time, within that time the testing should be done. If you delay in testing, what happens? There are creeps are formed inside the surface, inside this coating. So whatever after the creep is formed, what happens? The results, whatever you got, you will get a error results. Means you won't get accurate results. You will get a wrong result. So moisture, this is very important. So moisture, parameter, and velocity of air flowing over coating. This is also very important. Once it is coated, when you are testing, some sort of velocity of air is passing through that. What happens? It affects the coating results. So curing time of the coating, that's what I said. Curing time, this is very important. Curing time and the duration of testing, both are one and the same. Creep in coating during testing, curing time of the coating. So this we have to take care. Means after coating is done, it should be cured. After curing, it has certain time. That is what a creep. Okay. So load time load time history. So this is very important. So loading time history is also very important, means incremental load at every increment of load with interval of time. So that is also very important, that gives us the accurate result. So this is the parameters of how the brittle coating influences. Okay, next, what is the useful of brittle coating? So the principal use of brittle coating are to quickly locate and evaluate the high stress points in the design. This is what quickly high stress. What do you mean by high stress? That is the principal stresses. Okay, so evaluate the principal stresses. So once we evaluate the principal stresses, we are going to find. So here, what are the principal stresses? If the principal stresses are high, the crack value, when the load is maximum, the critical crack is more, so the principal stresses will be more. So the principal stresses, the maximum shear stress theory can be applied to find the brittle coating. So here the high stress points are principal stresses, and to obtain principal stress direction, that's what I explained in the diagram. To obtain principal stress direction for subsequent placement of the electrical strain gauges, means what? Once you obtain the principal stress directions, I can easily place a electric strain gauge at that particular direction. Usually the strain gauges are placed in 3 different directions. When you know what the principal stress directions, we need not place one more. Only with the 2 strain gauges we can easily find the results of the particular component. Okay, next, commercial availability brittle coating are used for following purpose. So for what purpose the brittle coating are used? Locating small areas of high stress, determining directions of principal stresses, measuring the approximate magnitude of tension and compression stress concentrations under static loads, measuring tension stress concentration under dynamic and impact loads, including localized plastic yielding. So indicating localized plastic yielding. Even the yielding also can be used for the brittle coating purpose. Okay, next, coating stresses. So now how the coating stresses? So now we are relating the equations for the coating stresses. So the brittle coating method of stress analysis generally gives 2 types of information. The direction of principal stresses which are perpendicular to the cracks. So that's what I said, perpendicular to the cracks are called isostatics, that I have clearly explained in the diagram. Means whatever the cracks you obtained after the application of the load, so these cracks are always perpendicular to the principal stresses. Is that always perpendicular to the principal stresses? Why it should be always perpendicular to the principal stresses? Why not parallel to the principal stresses? That I will explain why it is so. Okay, in the next coming slides. And the estimated magnitude of the large principal stresses by means of isoentartics. This is what? Loci of the crack ends. I said you know, when the cracks are obtained, the crack ends. Means what do you mean by crack ends? When pressure P1 is applied, for our example pressure vessel, when I apply P1 pressure, cracks will end at certain point. Means what? The P1 pressure is constant. So I will stop at that particular point. What happened? The crack is going to stop at certain points. So this crack ends, the loci of the crack ends are joined and made one location, or I made one loci of all these points. That is what? Isoentartics. So the brittle coating fails when maximum tensile stress in the coating reaches a critical value. Okay, so the following assumptions. So these are the very assumptions are made in the analysis. Means what? When I made some equations without assumptions, I can't assume any equation, I can't derive any equations. So what are the assumptions that we shall discuss? A state of a plane stress is assumed to exist. What do you mean by that plane stress? So it is a 2D. So 3D means the 3-dimensional is neglected. Only x and y direction is considered. Perfect adhesion between the coating and the specimen is assumed. So this is very important assumption. So here there should be a perfect adhesion between the coating material and the specimen surface. So that what? Strain of the coating, epsilon of the coating is equal to epsilon of the specimen. Means what? Strain of the coating is equal to the strain of the specimen. Means what? When the specimen is strained, at the same time the same equal magnitude of the strain value should be applied for the coating material. So if that is accepted, then then the equations whatever we derive is satisfactory, and the principal directions of the stresses in the coating coincides with that of the specimen. So on the principal directions of the strains in the coating, so here what happened, the principal directions of the strains, the strains in the coating coincides with the specimen, means wherever the crack is happening in the specimen, the coating also should have the same crack penetration. Means what, if the crack is happening horizontally, the coating surface should also be horizontal. If it is happening vertical, then the coating surface is also should be vertical. What do you mean by that is, the specimen and coating are not too different, both are considered as a single material, means it has to behave like a single material. So maximum principal stress theory is assumed to govern the failure of the coating. So the failure coating is maximum principal stress theory will be satisfactory for the brittle coating. When the brittle coating fractures, the crack is perpendicular to the principal stress direction. So this is the point what I have read in the earlier slide. So the crack perpendicular to the principal stresses. So when brittle coating fractures, the crack should be perpendicular to the principal stresses. So what if it is parallel? It is not satisfactory. Means the assumptions what we made for the brittle coating is what it should and always be perpendicular. It means the principal stresses should always be perpendicular to the cracks. Means whenever the cracks are formed on the brittle coating after the application of the load, these cracks are always perpendicular to the principal stresses. This is the assumptions. Okay. So the next, brittle coating fails when the maximum tensile strain reaches critical value called threshold strain. So maximum tensile strain, what we call it as a threshold strain. That's it. Okay. The name indicates that threshold strain. So the brittle coating fails nothing but it starts cracking. When it cracks, when it is a maximum tensile strain, that particular strain value or particular strain, what we call it as a threshold strain. Okay. These are the assumptions to derive a equation. So now I shall consider a specimen. Can you see the specimen? Upon the specimen, coating is made. The brittle coating is made. So here I made some principal stress directions. Horizontal is principal sigma 1 C. C is the coating. S is what? S is what? Specimen. So sigma 1 C horizontal and vertical is sigma 2 C. So here sigma 1 C and epsilon 1 S. So sigma 1 S and epsilon 1 S. Stress and strain of sigma 1 of the specimen, stress and strain of sigma 2 of the specimen. So here I said you, from the assumption it is said that what, strain of the specimen and strain of the coating both should be equal. So sigma 1c is equal to, sorry, epsilon 1c is equal to epsilon 1s, epsilon 2c is equal to epsilon 2. Yes, so here the strains of these two, specimen and coating, should be equal, either it in sigma 1 or sigma 2. So from Hooke's law we have, including Poisson's ratio, Young's modulus into strain is equal to sigma 1 minus Poisson's ratio into sigma 2. So if this thing I will write for the specimens first. This is a specimen and this is for the coating. For specimen I have what? Young's modulus of the specimen into epsilon 1. This is for the epsilon 1. This is for the epsilon 2. Same thing for the Young's modulus for the coating. Epsilon 1 is equal to sigma 1c minus mu c sigma 2 into c. So EC, Young's modulus of the coating into epsilon 2c is equal to sigma 2c minus mu c sigma 1c. Okay, so I have wrote the equations. I have wrote the equations, Hooke's law equations for the sigma epsilon 1, epsilon 2 and epsilon 1 and epsilon 2 for the specimen and coating, specimen and coating. So this is a set of equations. So here from the equation 1 I can little bit make some simplification here. Epsilon 1 is equal to 1 by Es sigma 1s minus mu s sigma 2s. Same thing for the epsilon 2s, epsilon 1c and epsilon 2c. So here I have substituted, I have took the Young's modulus in all these four equations, divide by is equal to after denominator. So I got the set of four equations. So from the given assumptions, or from the assumption, what is that here? Epsilon 1c is equal to epsilon 1s. Means what? I am going to equate these two equations and these two equations, because from the assumptions it is said that strain of the coating is equal to the strain of the specimen. Okay, when I equate these two values and when I equate these two values, finally get, since there is a perfect addition between the coating and the surface of the specimen, here is, that's what I said, this is the assumptions what I made for the strain coating is equal to strain specimen, thus substituting equation 2 in 1. After substituting, I got sigma 1 and sigma 2. I got two set of equations, sigma 1 stress, principal stresses 1 for the coating, principal stress 2, sigma 2 of coating is, I'll call it as a equation 4. Subtracting sigma 1 and sigma 2, I got equation 5. So from equation 5 it is evident that sigma 1 minus sigma 2 of the coating is always same as sine of sigma 1 and sigma 2 of specimen. So here these two have a same sign. It indicates what? The stress directions are always same. Stress direction are always same in coating and specimen. In other words, sigma c is always greater than sigma 2. Further, sigma c1 is parallel to sigma s1. That's what I said. Sigma s1 and sigma c1 are always parallel. Means they are always in a same direction, same as sigma 2c and sigma 2s. Now, if sigma 1 by sigma c, if I divide sigma 1 by sigma c, if I substitute this sigma c here and if I take this value here, after simplification I got this value, which represents a straight line for any particular value of sigma 1c by sigma c. So, stress by Young's modulus gives you the strain of the coating material for strain 1, epsilon 1 of the coating material. Okay. So, now to calibrate the coating of a cantilever beam, so strip as shown in figure, it is used to determine the strain sensitivity. So to calibrate this cantilever beam or cantilever strip, it is strip. So I'll consider the cantilever strip. Here the strain point, can you see the A? At point A I need to find the stresses. So here at point A, when I apply a load here, what happens? The crack or strain will be maximum at this point A and the crack starts at the point A. Those stresses at A in the coating produced by external load are found by setting sigma 2 s is equal to 0. So in this particular thing, what happens? Now I will consider, so for the strip I have a sigma 1 and sigma 2. So in these cases what I will take sigma 2 as 0 and sigma 1 I have a value and I will substitute in this equation. So I will get sigma 1 is equal to this value and sigma 2 is equal to, sigma 2. So sigma 1 is equal to this value. In the second set of equations what I will consider? I will consider sigma 1 as 0. Then I will get sigma 2 value. So now I got a sigma 1 value and sigma 2 value of the particular strip. So where sigma ds indicates strain sensitivity of the brittle coating in direct loading. So that is what sigma by stress by Young's modulus, Poisson's ratio of the strip. Okay, so this is how to calibrate the strip. So directly I can put the values of ED value and epsilon value. I'll get the coating stresses in 1 and coating stresses in 2. Ultimate strength of the coating. The ultimate strength of the stress law of the failure assumes that the coating will crack when the maximum principal stress in the coating is larger. When the maximum principal stresses in the coating is larger than or equal to the critical value of sigma u. Means what? The stresses are maximum. What happens? So it reaches the critical value sigma u. So you need to derive this from that. So directly I wrote the equation sigma u is equal to 1 minus Poisson's ratio of the coating and Poisson's ratio of the specimen, 1 minus Poisson's ratio of the critical this thing. So Poisson's ratio of the calibration strip. and 1 minus Poisson's ratio of the coating square, Young's modulus of the coating, EDS. What is EDS in the here? EDS is stress of the specimen 1 into calibration of the strips Young's modulus plus sigma RC, where sigma RC is the residual hydraulic tension existing in the coating before the external load is put on and before refrigeration, if any. Okay, fine. So next, brittle coating crack patterns. So now we shall discuss what type of cracks are there and how these cracks can be analyzed. If this set of cracks, means if different set of cracks are obtained, by those cracks what we can learn and what I can substitute and what I can get from that particular crack, that we are going to discuss. So brittle coating crack patterns. The manner in which a brittle coating fails by cracking depends entirely upon the state of stress in the specimen to which it adhere. So here adhere, okay. The failure behavior of the coating is determined by the magnitude of the sigma 1 and sigma 2 that I already discussed. The principal stresses in the coating. Consider the following special case when the specimen is subjected to direct loading. So here the failure will happen when sigma 1 and sigma 2 magnitudes are known, or behavior of the coating is determined. So the behavior of the coating is determined by the magnitude of sigma 1 and sigma 2, how these cracks are obtained, and how these cracks can be used, or how this cracks can be read, and how it can be took for the analysis, that we shall discuss. Case 1, when sigma 1 and when sigma 1 is greater than 0, sigma 2 is less than 0, sigma 3 is 0. So sigma 3 is 0 in all cases. Why? Because in the assumption itself we said that it should be a plane stress. So when it is a plane stress, you have only two values, sigma 1 and sigma 2. So in the first case what happens, sigma 1 is 0 and sigma 2 is less than 0. Sorry, sigma 1 is greater than 0, means what? Sigma 1 have some value, sigma 2 may be equal to 0 or it may be a less than 0 value. How? We can see here there is a set of cracks. So the cracks are parallel to the sigma 2 and perpendicular to the sigma 1. When the cracks are parallel to the sigma 2, the values are always equal to 0 or less than 0 value. When it is a perpendicular to the stresses, it has some value. So that is what sigma 1 is always greater than 0. Sigma 2 is less than 0 because the cracks are parallel to the sigma 2. So here the brittle coating crack indicates sigma 2 directions direct loading. So here the loading is done in the sigma 2. So in this case only one set of crack forms and they are perpendicular to the sigma 1. These cracks indicate the principal stresses directions of sigma 2, and as end results the crack represent stress trajectories or isostatics. I said you, when the cracks are horizontal and it is parallel to the loading, the cracks are parallel to the loading, it is called as a isostatics. So this set of cracks comes under case 1 where sigma 1 is greater than 0 and sigma 2 is less than 0. Case 2, in the case 2 what happens, sigma 1 sigma 2 are both are greater than 0. Sigma 3 I said you is always equal to 0. Can you see here there is a brick like structure, there is a cracks horizontally and vertically. So the cracks are parallel to sigma 1 and parallel to sigma 2. The cracks are parallel to sigma 1, parallel to sigma 2 and perpendicular to sigma 1, perpendicular to sigma 2. So in this example two families of cracks can be formed. The first set of cracks due to sigma 1 forms perpendicular to the sigma 1 and parallel to sigma 2. When the stress levels of sigma 2 becomes sufficiently high, means the loading is sufficiently high, a second family of cracks will form perpendicular to the sigma 2 and parallel to sigma 1. Means what happens at the same area when load is increased, what happens at the same cracks, there is few more cracks are generated. These cracks are perpendicular to the sigma 1 and the sigma 2. Means what? One set of cracks are formed when load 1 is applied. When load 2 is applied, two set of cracks are formed. Second set of cracks are formed on the same location. That is what on isostatics, on the same locations there is a two set of crack families are formed. This type of things are called or comes under the case sigma 1 is greater than sigma 2 is greater than 0. Means what? Sigma 1 and sigma 2 have magnitudes greater than 0. So when both families of the cracks are produced, a complete set of isostatics or set strategics is obtained. So isostatics are complete in the means vertically, horizontally both are formed. Crack patterns of this type are often encountered in testing the cylindrical portion of pressure vessels. Means, so for the pressure vessels especially these type of cracks are obtained. Okay, so if the pressure vessel is increased slowly, the first cracks will appear in the coating along the x of the cylinder and will be due to the hoops stress. Okay, so this is one case 2. Now next come to the case 3. In the case 3 what happens? Sigma 1 is equal to sigma 2. Greater than 0 is nothing but sigma 1 and sigma 2 have a magnitude greater than 0. But in this case 3, sigma 1 and sigma 2 both are equal. So when these stresses are equal, what type of material we call? We call it as a isostatic material. What do you mean by isostatic material? Whenever I apply load on a material, in all directions the stresses are equal. That is what isostatic. So we assume, so in this case 3, sigma 1 and sigma 2 are equal. When sigma 1 and sigma 2 are equal at any point of the body, the stress system is said to be isotropic. Sorry, not isostatic, is isotropic. So isotropic material is what? Whenever I apply a load in all directions, the stress values and stress magnitudes remains same. So isotropic, and every direction is a principal direction, because cracks are on zigzag. In all these cases principal directions will be there. If the values of sigma 1 and sigma 2 are sufficiently high, the coating will fail. So sigma 1 and sigma 2 values are high, what happens? The coating will fail. However, the crack pattern produced will be random in character. By the diagram itself we can see there is a random crack is there. So the crack pattern of this form are often referred as Kreysz pattern, since the cracks have no preferential directions. Means this cracks doesn't have any preferential directions. It go in a zigzag fashion in all over the area of the crack loci or isoentatics. Whenever I have boundaried, in that boundaries it goes as usual. It doesn't have a particular direction. So a figure illustration of this type is shown in figure. Crack patterns of this type occur when the pressure vessel with hemisphere head closure are tested. So previous slide there is a pressure vessels we have done. For this type of cracks are obtained for what? Hemispherical head closures. Okay, since sigma 1 is equal to sigma 2. So this is what case 3. Now come to the case 4. In the case 4, sigma 2 is less than, sigma 1 is less than 0. So here in the both the cases sigma 1 and sigma 2 are less than 0. In this instant the coating is subjected to a state of biaxial compression. When these two values are 0, what do you mean by that? There is no tensile load, there is a compressive stresses or compressive load, or the compressive stresses will be obtained inside the material and will not crack under these loads. Usually when the compression is there, the coating are not cracked with at certain limit. When however if the compressive stresses are sufficiently large, if the compressive stresses are large, the coating will fail by flanking from the surface of the specimen. In this case the cracks we can't see directly. Flanking is what? The coating material will come out of the specimen and it will tear or it will separate from the specimen surface. Okay, so this is what crack patterns. In the next class we shall discuss few more topics, calibration of this, applications, the disadvantages, and defection methods, brittle coating defections. All those things we shall continue in the next class. Okay, thank you.